Welcome to the Phil and H Travel Podcast. Is it worth it?
Hi, everyone.
Today, we are undertaking a massive audit of a location that has, frankly, haunted the bucket lists of advanced divers for years.
Yeah, and intrepid backpackers for like the better part of a decade.
Right, exactly. We're dissecting the Derawan Islands for the 2026 and 2027 travel season. And for you listening, if you're planning a trip and want the honest, is it worth it verdict before you book, follow the show on Spotify or Apple.
Because, we are looking at an archipelago off the east coast of Borneo, down in Indonesian Kalimantan, that is basically going through this deeply uncomfortable adolescence right now.
It really is. I mean, in fact, booking a trip here right now is genuinely awkward.
It is the definition of a transitional destination right now. I mean, you have this entire regional economy that built its global reputation on a single, highly marketable wildlife encounter.
Right, the jellyfish.
Exactly. And almost overnight, that encounter just had to be stripped away from the public.
It's gone.
Yeah, and at the exact same time, the physical pathways to reach these islands are shifting. So we are looking at a fundamental reset of how you interact with this environment.
So wait, what could possibly make an entire archipelago awkward to book right now? I want to paint a picture of the contrarian claim we're dealing with today for this deep dive.
Go for it.
Imagine flying halfway across the world, right? Enduring this 2-day logistical marathon, taking flights, cars, speedboats.
Sounds exhausting already.
It is, and all to reach this world-famous biologically isolated marine lake. Your entire goal is to swim with stingless golden jellyfish.
That's the postcard image?
Exactly. It's the image that sold you on the trip. You finally arrive, and the authorities tell you it is now literally a crime to touch the water.
Yep.
You're handed a ticket, pointed toward a wooden boardwalk, and told to, just look from a distance.
Which feels terrible.
Right. The natural assumption is that the destination is ruined. But the underlying reality, the truth we are unpacking today, is that the Derawan Islands are actually quietly far better off for this change.
They really are.
But you have to know all these new rules beforehand, like before you get on the plane.
Yeah, absolutely. Because to understand why it's better, we have to look uncomfortably closely at what we did to that environment.
Right, the whole reset.
The Kakaban jellyfish reset is basically a textbook study in loving an ecosystem to death. For over a decade, thousands of tourists were plunging into Kakaban Lake, and, it is an enclosed ecosystem.
It doesn't flesh out into the ocean.
Exactly. So in late 2023, the population of those famous stingless golden jellyfish didn't just decline. I mean, it collapsed entirely over this terrifyingly short window.
Oh, wow. So what was the cause?
Well, when marine biologists and laboratory technicians analyzed the water and the remaining biomass, the data pointed unequivocally to chemical contamination.
And it was sunscreen, right?
It was. The primary culprit was the UV filters in our sunscreen. We were basically poisoning the polyp stage of their reproductive cycle.
That is just awful.
Yeah, so the authorities were forced to make a drastic, immediate decision. On December 28, 2023, they shut the island down completely.
Like a full quarantine.
Yeah.
Nobody in, nobody out.
None. They essentially put an entire island on life support and walked away to let it breathe.
So how long did that last?
It stayed closed for over a year. The silence on that lake was absolute. And when they finally, very cautiously, reopened the site over a year later, on February 16th, 2025, they threw away the old playbook.
So what are the new rules now?
They are uncompromising. Kakaban is now a permanent no-swimming zone.
Wow.
Yeah, and you cannot bring fins anywhere near the water because fins stir up sediment that suffocates the organisms.
Makes sense.
And absolutely no sunscreen is permitted on the site. You can't even wear it on your skin if you're just walking around.
Wait, really? Not even just to walk the boardwalk?
Not even just to walk. And to enforce this, they capped daily visitation at roughly 100 people.
Only 100 a day.
Yeah. You are required to hire mandatory guides to monitor your behavior, and foreign tourists are charged an entry fee of roughly $9 to fund the conservation. So your physical interaction with the lake is now limited to standing on this newly constructed viewing boardwalk.
So it's kind of like booking a trip to Paris just to see the Eiffel Tower, finding out you can only look at it from a designated path, but discovering the cafes are half the price.
That is exactly the dynamic, because this fundamentally alters who should be traveling here.
Right, because that famous Instagram shot of a swimmer suspended in a cloud of golden jellyfish, I mean, it's a museum relic now.
It is. You cannot recreate it in 2026 or 2027. If your trip hinges on that specific jellyfish swim, You just need to cancel your flights.
Skip it entirely.
Skip it entirely. But the destination has pivoted back to its roots. It is no longer about the novelty of the lake. It is entirely about the raw power of the open ocean now.
And as the ocean becomes the focal point, the ways we access it are changing, right?
Yes. Historically, getting to the outer reef systems, particularly Maratua Island, required this grueling open-water boat crossing.
Right, from the mainland or from Derawan Island.
Yeah, it was a huge barrier to entry. But now Maratua has its own small airport. And for this 2026-27 season, there is a Wings Air turboprop service flying directly from Borneo's Kalimarau Airport.
Oh, wow. So you can bypass the ocean crossing completely.
Completely, if you choose to utilize it.
Which brings us to the good news. Because I am looking at the headline costs of this destination, and the financial reality of Derawan is staggering.
It's wild, isn't it?
It really feels like a pricing error in the global travel market. I mean, if you are willing to navigate the complexities, a backpacker can comfortably survive in this archipelago for $35 to $55 a day.
And we are talking about access to world-class marine biodiversity here.
Exactly. Basic homestays on Derawan Islands start at $6 a night. $6. And if you upgrade to a guest house bed, you are looking at near $20.
And the value extends into the activities, too. I mean, a shared group snorkeling tour that takes you across 3 different islands costs about $31 per person.
That's insane.
Right. And if you don't even want to pay for a boat, you can literally put on a mask, walk to the end of Derawan's wooden jetty, and snorkel with resident green turtles for absolutely free.
Just right off the jetty.
Right off the jetty. Even the transit is reasonable. One-way flights from Jakarta to Borneo fluctuate between $83 and $144.
So when you compare this to the astronomical costs of Raja Ampat or the Maldives, I mean, Derawan is a fraction of the cost.
It's an entirely different financial paradigm.
But, and this is a big but, the low cost masks some severe infrastructural realities, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
The skip-fif signals are flashing bright red for certain types of travelers.
Definitely.
Like beyond skipping it if you want the jellyfish swim, you also need to skip this destination if you require standard resort comfort. Because like the phrase water bungalow evokes a very specific luxury image.
It does, yeah. You think of the Maldives.
Right. But on Maratua, many of these water bungalows operate without any sewage infrastructure. The waste goes directly into the environment you are paying to look at.
Which is horrifying.
It is. And furthermore, you should abandon this trip if you underestimate the sheer physical exhaustion of a 2-day journey from your home country to a wooden pier in the Celebral Sea.
Because that physical journey is dictated by the environment. And since you are now traveling almost exclusively for the reefs and the open ocean, the timing becomes the single biggest lever for success.
Right. The ocean's mood dictates everything.
Exactly. The calendar dictates your safety, your visibility, and your comfort.
So let's talk about that calendar. The distinction between the dry season and the wet season here. It isn't just about getting a tan.
No, not at all.
It is a matter of maritime safety.
Yeah.
So the best time, the optimal window, is the dry season, spanning April through October.
Yeah, during those 7 months, the atmospheric pressure systems stabilize, the winds drop, and the Sulawesi Sea flattens into something resembling glass.
And that sea state is paramount, right? Because you are relying on small fiberglass boats.
Exactly. When the sea is flat, the crossings to Maratua and the outer dive sites are routine and safe. Plus, water clarity peaks, which gives you that massive visibility you need to spot pelagic life.
Like the mantas.
Right. If you are hunting for manta rays, their activity at the island of Sangalaki is strongest across this dry window. Now, the green turtle numbers around Derawan Island, those are consistent year-round.
But viewing them is different in the dry season.
Exactly. Viewing a massive turtle in crystal clear, calm water is a fundamentally different experience than fighting chop and churned up sand to see one.
But the dry season guarantees the environment, and it also guarantees the crowds.
It does. July to September is the peak congestion zone.
Because you have European travelers utilizing their long summer holidays, and that perfectly overlaps with domestic Indonesian holidays.
Yeah, and the infrastructure on these islands is finite. When that surge hits, those $6 homestays on Derawan and the highly limited beds on Maratua, they just vanish. They tighten up completely.
So how does the crowding manifest on the different islands?
Well, Sangalaki and Kakaban are strictly day trip islands. There is zero accommodation on them. So the congestion there isn't about running out of beds, it is about boat bunching.
Oh, like everyone's showing up at once.
Right. It's the visual of a dozen small boats arriving at a reef at the exact same time, overwhelming a specific snorkel site.
Okay, so that is the peak season reality. But the nightmare scenario is attempting this trip during the wet season.
The northwest monsoon, yes.
Right. From November through February, the wet season takes hold, and the entire logistical framework just falls apart.
It transforms the Sulawesi Sea into a washing machine. The open water boat crossings to Maratua or the outer dive sites go from being the scenic 45-minute ride to a grueling 3 to 4 hour ordeal that is often genuinely unsafe.
3 to 4 hours in a small open boat in swells.
Yes. Small boats are routinely canceled by the harbor master, and when they do run, passengers are pounded by swells and soaked by rain.
That sounds miserable.
It is. Furthermore, the basic homestays on the islands lack sophisticated ventilation. So in the wet season, the humidity traps itself in the rooms, leading to pervasive mold and dampness in the bedding.
Ugh. Damp bedding is the worst.
And worst of all, you will lose heavily booked dive days to the weather with zero refunds. The operators don't refund for weather.
Wow. Okay, so I look at the calendar and I see March and October sitting on the edges. The classic shoulder seasons. Now, in places like Southern Europe, traveling in the shoulder season is a brilliant financial hack. You risk a little rain to save hundreds of dollars. But looking at the baseline costs of Derawan, I really question if saving a few dollars is worth risking a miserable 4-hour open water crossing in the rain.
You're totally right to question it. The shoulder season hack does not apply here.
It doesn't.
No, because the baseline infrastructure is already so inexpensive that your potential savings are negligible. You might save $2 a night on a fan room.
$2.
Yeah. It is a terrible gamble. Prices here do not swing wildly based on the season because of that cheap infrastructure.
Wow.
The only places the financial pressure really fluctuates are the private boat charters and the absolute last resort beds.
Right, like in July and August.
Exactly. When demand spikes, the cost to privately charter a boat skyrockets. And if you show up to Maratua without a reservation in peak season, the owner of the very last available homestay can double their rate simply due to scarcity.
That makes sense.
But generally, you don't travel in November to save money. You travel in May or June to guarantee safety and visibility.
Okay, so map out the pressure zones for me. Where are the crowds?
On Derawan Island, the human footprint is heavily concentrated on the south side jetty and the adjacent village strip. That narrow corridor holds the homestays, the single ATM on the island, the dive shops, and the premium turtle viewing.
So it's busy there.
It feels chaotic at sunset or when a fleet of public boats arrives, but the rest of the island remains remarkably quiet.
In Kakaban.
Kakaban has a completely different crowd dynamic now. Because of that strict 100 visitor daily cap and the single wooden boardwalk, a massive midday bottleneck forms. All the day tour boats tend to converge around noon.
So what's the tip there?
The strategy is uncompromising. You must negotiate with your boat captain to be on the very first departure of the morning. Arrive before the convoy shows up.
And what about Sangalaki and Maratua?
Sangalaki sees its bottlenecks around the turtle hatchery, and the manta approaches when the high-end leva-boards and the day boats coincide.
Right.
But Maratua is a fascinating exception. Its marquee dive site is the Channel. It's heavily current swept, so operators have to time their water entries around the tidal shifts. This naturally spreads the divers out throughout the day.
And it's convenient.
Yeah, and it's vital to note this entire archipelago experiences zero megaship cruise pressure. The crowding is entirely driven by domestic Indonesian holidays and international diving groups.
Okay, so booking by traveler type. Divers should aim for May, June, or September. Families and casuals need that same dry window, but they should base on Derawan for the shallow water.
Exactly.
And nomads should avoid November through February entirely due to bad connectivity in boats.
Yes, absolutely. And for booking, lock in those Maratua beds weeks ahead in July and August. Derawan is fine same day outside peak. But book those Jakarta to Borneo flights early because the pricing climbs. And whatever you do, avoid arriving in the wet season trying to wait out bad weather.
Right, because once the dates are locked, how do you actually get there?
Yeah, this initial arrival is not a relaxed resort welcome, is it? It's a logistical marathon.
Yeah, it really is. The chain of transit is intimidating.
Yeah.
Most route through Jakarta or Balikpapan to Borneo's Calamaro Airport, code BEJ.
BEJ. Got it.
Landing at BEJ is merely the midpoint. You have to transition to ground transport, a 2-hour car or minivan ride east to the port town of Tanjung Batu.
And what does that cost? A private transfer is $30 to $55. Shared is less. But at Tanjung Batu, the pavement ends. If you are going to Derawan Island, you catch a public speedboat for $6 to $9. It takes 30 to 45 minutes in sheltered water.
But if you want to go straight to Maratua,
Then the logistics escalate. From the Borneo area, you can take a direct ferry for about $15. But it takes 3 hours, and departures are strictly early morning.
and if you miss it,
You're forced to charter a private boat for roughly $92. That covers a small 3 to 4 person boat.
yikes. So that new 2026 Wings Air flight to Maratua is a huge deal then.
It's a game changer. It bypasses the port and that 3-hour crossing entirely.
The profound friction here is that nothing is on demand.
Nothing. It's fixed early departures or when full. The last public boats leave in the afternoon. If you miss one, you lose a day.
You literally just lose a full 24 hours.
Yeah.
You know, I reflect on how this grueling 2-day journey kind of filters out the casual tourists. It makes the moment you finally see those turtles cruising right under the Derawan jetty boards feel earned rather than manufactured.
It really validates the isolation because after a 2-day journey, you need a bed. But I have to warn you, the ceiling for luxury here is strikingly low.
Yeah, let's talk accommodation, because people need to know what they're walking into.
Right. So the backpacker and budget tier is heavily concentrated on the Derawan Southside Village Strip. We're talking simple homestays and basic guest houses for $6 to $18.
$6 to $18. And dorm beds.
Dorm beds are actually around $20, usually because they are in dive-focused guest houses.
Right, paying for the social vibe.
Exactly. You are steps from the water, but the trade-offs are real. Thin walls, variable power and water, and cold showers.
Cold showers are standard.
Pretty much. But no pre-booking is needed outside July and August.
Okay, stepping up to the mid-range couple.
Still on Derawan Island. You're looking at better homestays or small guest house rooms, reliable AC, en-suite bathrooms. This runs $25 to $50 a night.
But mid-range means simple working AC, right? Not resort polish.
Exactly. Overwater cottages exist in this bracket but run higher.
And for families.
Derawan is ideal. You can get a larger homestay or a 2-room cottage for $40 to $70 depending on size and season. It's great for kids because the water is shallow and calm and you avoid those rough outer island trips.
But the trade-off is no kid-specific facilities, right?
Yeah.
You must bring your own small snorkel gear.
Yes, absolutely bring your own.
Which brings us to the luxury comfort tier on Maratua Island. Places like the Maratua Paradise Resort. Dive-focused cottages, multi-night packages. Overwater bungalow rates from roughly $31 a night at the low end, but the packages run into hundreds of dollars.
Because it includes tanks, boats, full board, and it's great for diving the channel.
But I want to press you on this. You mentioned extreme isolation and high food costs. But critically, no sewage infrastructure on the water bungalows.
It's the darkest secret of the region's tourism. Many of those overwater bungalows have no sewage infrastructure. The waste drops right into the marine ecosystem.
I am genuinely surprised by that. I mean, it highlights this massive contrast between Instagram aesthetics and the on-the-ground reality. You're paying premium prices to pollute the reef you came to see.
It forces a severe ethical calculation.
It really does. And generally, the vibe is walkable on Derawan, transport dependent elsewhere. No noise and no significant room taxes, since the fees are per site.
Right.
So, with basic accommodation comes basic living. How do travelers feed themselves if they aren't on a multi-$100 full board package on Maratua? Because I'm assuming there are no massive grocery stores.
You're right, there are no supermarkets. The dining scene revolves around warongs, which are small, local eateries. On Derawan, there are eating clusters near the jetty.
What's on the menu?
Nasi goreng, or grilled fresh fish with rice, will cost you $2.50 to $5.
That is incredibly cheap.
Local coffee is about $1. Large water is 60 cents. A beer is $3 to $4. If you want a feast, fresh grilled fish with rice and sambal is $4 to $6. Fresh prawns are $6 to $9.
And breakfast.
Eggs, rice, and coffee is $2 to $3. Plus, island tours usually include a rice, chicken, and tempeh lunch.
Let's do a currency check to contextualize that.
Yeah.
The Kakaban entry fee is 150,000 rupiah, right?
Right, which is about $9. So handing over that 150,000 rupiah for a boardwalk is a premium expense when a massive fish dinner is a fraction of that.
What about groceries for people who want to cook?
Very limited. Village shops have water, snacks, instant noodles. That's it. You have to stock up in Borneo or Tanjung Batu. Maratua is even tighter and pricier since everything is imported by boat, so independent travelers must bring provisions.
It's fascinating how the lack of a grocery store shifts the rhythm of the trip. You eat what the local families are cooking or catching that day, forcing a slower, more deliberate pace.
You're syncing with their supply chain, and you also need to sync with their etiquette. It's a conservative, largely Muslim region.
So dress modestly.
Cover up off the beach, definitely. Ask to photograph locals. Tipping isn't obligatory, but small tips for crew, guides, and hosts are really appreciated.
And the hard rules are heavily enforced now.
Zero tolerance. No sunscreen or fins near Kakaban Lake. And you must pack out all rubbish because waste management is poor and it ends up in the sea.
Right. Well, eating local is exactly how Derawan earns its reputation as a supreme budget destination. Let's look at the exact US dollar daily math, excluding flights to Indonesia. Let's start with the backpacker.
Okay, backpacker. Room is $6 to $18. Food is $8 to $14. Transport and shared boats are $6 to $12. Shared activity is $10 to $15. Add a $5 buffer, and the total is roughly $35 to $55 a day.
Wow, under 50 bucks.
But overruns happen from solo private boats or too many dive days.
Right, and mid-range per person.
Room is $25 to $50, split. Food is $15 to $25. Transport and semi-private boats, $15 to $25. Activities, $25 to $45. Buffer, $10. Total is roughly $90 to $150 a day, comfortable.
Okay, now the family. 2 adults, 2 kids, trip total.
Based on Derawan, room is $40 to $70. Food, $35 to $55. Local boats and snorkel outings, $50 to $90. Buffer is $25. Total is roughly $150 to $240 a day.
So a 5-night stay is about $900 to $1,300 on the ground.
Yes. But families often underestimate charter costs trying to avoid shared boats.
And luxury per person.
Maratua dive package guest, $200 to over $400 a day. You have to buy a multi-night package. A la carte individual boat hires are just bad value.
What about the digital nomad or slow traveler doing a bare-bones monthly stay?
Room is $250 to $500. Food, $300 to $450. Transport, $150 to $300. Diving, $200 plus. Buffer, $150. Total is $1,050 to $1,600 a month.
And a comfortable 2-week diver trip.
$700 to $1,100 per person on the ground.
I really want to zero in on the buffer math. Can you illustrate how easily a single private boat charter destroys a $35 backpacker daily average?
Oh, easily. Say you miss a shared boat to Maratua and have to charter a private one for $92. In one morning, you just vaporize nearly 3 days of your entire budget.
That is brutal, which means budgets only work if you don't fall into the traps. So let's set up the 3 specific ways a Derawan trip financially or emotionally derails. Trap number 1.
Trap 1 is the Kakaban expectation trap. It's marketed globally as a jellyfish swim, but swimming is banned. The reality is you pay $9, walk a 2-kilometer boardwalk, and view from a deck.
The emotional cost there is high.
Very high. The fix is to treat it as boardwalk wildlife viewing and focus on the Sangalaki mantas instead. Skip if the swim is your only goal.
Trap number 2.
The boat and weather trap. Maratua, Sangalaki, and Kakaban require 30-minute to 3-hour open water crossings on fixed departures. November to February wet season means routine cancellations.
Lost days, stranded nights, or an extra $92 for an emergency charter.
Exactly. The fix is to build a buffer day, check return boat times obsessively, and only travel April to October.
And trap number 3.
The cash trap. There is only one ATM on Derawan Island, and it's often empty or broken.
One ATM.
Just one. No currency exchanges, everything is cash only. So running out of cash means paying inflated informal rates to borrow from people. The fix is to draw all your cash, plus a generous margin in Borneo or Tanjung Batu.
Honestly, the cash trap sounds like playing a high-stakes game of financial musical chairs on an island.
That is a very accurate way to put it.
So traps lead directly into the broader question of safety. Are the real risks elemental or criminal?
The real risks here are entirely elemental, not criminal. We are talking about the sea and remoteness.
Like the currents.
Yeah, strong currents at Maratua's channel. Open water boat safety and squalls. And you are diving far from advanced medical care. There is no hyperbaric chamber nearby, and evacuation to the mainland is a long process.
So you need serious insurance that covers diving and evacuation.
Non-negotiable.
But what about crime and solo female travelers?
Violent and petty crime is very low. It's a small conservative community, safe by regional standards, just dress modestly. The real hurdle for solo travelers is financial, paying premiums for unshared boats.
And family comfort.
Good on Derawan because of the calm, shallow jetty turtles, but those long outer island boat days are rough on kids.
Any scams to worry about?
Minor ones like informal private boat markups, so just agree on the price prior. There's zero nightlife, which is a feature for many.
So the discomfort is structural.
Yes, basic infrastructure, thin medical cover. Transport safety means choosing boats with life jackets and avoiding overloaded boats in bad weather.
It's a crucial difference between a personal threat and structural discomfort. Derawan is safe for the street smart, but dangerous for the health fragile.
Perfectly said.
Okay, you've survived the logistics, the cash traps, the structural discomfort. Let's do the final ledger. The highs and the lows. What are the best moments?
First, the free, reliable green turtle snorkeling right off the Derawan jetty. It's magical. Second, the world-class reef mantis feeding near the surface at Sangalaki, plus the turtle hatchery there.
And for divers?
The channel at Maratua. It's a tornado of barracuda, gray roof sharks, and eagle rays for experienced divers.
Anything else?
The Telesian coastal whale sharks, which is a dawn add-on near fishing platforms, and just the overarching fact that the $31 group island hopping snorkel tour is immense value.
Okay, but what are the honest disappointments?
Kakaban's $9 boardwalk is magnificent for a walk, but a letdown compared to the famous swim photos. Second, visible waste management problems on the shorelines. Third, Maratua's isolation without resort service or sewage infrastructure.
And the boats.
Yeah, boat time often outweighs water time on day trips. And lastly, paying luxury prices for single-night a la carte stays just doesn't work.
I have to ask you point blank, does a $31 snorkel tour and some free turtles genuinely make up for a grueling 2-day journey and visible waste problems?
If you measure by marine density per dollar, yes. But if aesthetic, pristine beaches and easy transit are your metrics, then no.
Which means, if the disappointments are deal breakers, where should travelers go instead? Let's look at the direct competitors.
Alternative 1 is Raja Ampat in West Papua, the ultimate Derawan or Raja Ampat debate. But Raja carries a $65 to $130 marine park permit. Homestays and living boards are much higher. Overall trip costs double or triple Derawan.
So choose Raja Ampat for peak global biodiversity and dive site density, but choose Derawan for accessible turtles and mantas at a fraction of the cost, and the Kakaban Boardwalk.
Correct.
And alternative 2.
The Derawan Islands in central Sulawesi, another remote, budget-friendly archipelago. Broadly similar costs, like $35 to $55 a day backpacker, and complex access via Ampana or Gorontalo.
What's the crucial difference?
The Tojans have a stingless jellyfish lake where swimming is still permitted. It directly fixes Derawan's 2026-27 weakness.
Oh, wow.
So choose Tojans for the jellyfish swim and a castaway hammock slow vibe. Choose Derawan for the mantas, turtle density, and those new Maratua flights.
So do you want the ultimate reef density and don't care about price, which is Raja, the jellyfish swim you were promised, which is Tudens, or the budget mantas, which is Derawan?
That's the menu.
It is time for the final verdict. Run through the definitive scoring matrix. Backpacker.
8 out of 10. Worth it. Dive, snorkel, go in dry season, join group tours for $35 to $55 a day. The $31 shared tour plus free jetty turtles makes it the best marine value in Asia.
Mid-range.
7 out of 10. Worth it with planning. Base on Derawan, pay $25 to $50 for AC, not polish. Budget $90 to $150 a day.
Family.
6 out of 10. Book carefully. Stay on Derawan for kids. Skip outer island rough crossings. Budget $150 to $240 a day. Skip if kids are young or seasick. 5 out of 10. Only worth it for a narrow type. Maratua dive packages only at $200 to $400 plus a day. Skip if you want 5-star comfort, fine dining, or proper plumbing.
Digital nomad and solo.
4 out of 10 for nomads. Must skip due to logistics and internet fail, despite the cheap $1,050 to $1,600 monthly cost. Solo diver gets a 7 out of 10, but you must buddy up to beat boat premiums.
So the overall verdict.
Book carefully. Yes, for dry season divers and snorkelers looking for budget mantas and turtles, do not book for the Kakaban swim, do not visit in the wet season on a tight schedule, and do not expect luxury access. Get those right. It's a strong yes. Get them wrong, it's a long, expensive disappointment.
Before we wrap up, leave us with a final thought.
You know, it's a reflection on the fragility of ecotourism. Derawan had to permanently lock away its biggest star attraction, the jellyfish, just to let the ecosystem survive. It really makes you question if this look but don't touch approach is the future reality for all global wildlife hotspots.
If this gave you the honest verdict you needed, follow the show. New episodes drop every day.
That is the honest verdict from Phil and H.